What is it with teams in the lower half of the points table for the last week or so? Hyderabad have caused a massive upset. The Delhi Capitals lose their third consecutive game, this one by 88 runs to the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Deep Das Gupta, Ian Bishop, I'm sure the two of them are as shocked as all of us are, given how Delhi have performed today. They join us on Whirlpool presently in Cricket for T20 time, out powered by Dell. Ian, crucial in the context of the points table because after this loss, Delhi Capitals' net run rate is now below the Royal Challengers Bangalore because the margin of defeat is more than 74 runs. Is a playoff spot possibly slipping away?
You can't put it out of reach or beyond logical thought that these top three teams prior to this game really have not been able to distance themselves. And I think you're seeing Chennai Super Kings come in and playing with new players, nothing to lose. Rajasthan Royals playing like that last night, and tonight Sunrisers Hyderabad. So it seems as though when the burden of trying to get to the playoffs is sort of lifted, not completely lifted because there's still some hope. These teams are playing with freedom, and the top three could not get away, and that's astoundingly good for the IPL.
Deep, hand on your heart, I know you're an honest man, but did you expect Delhi to lose their third consecutive game after they lost the last two?
Well, I seriously thought they aren't playing their best cricket, right? They haven't played their best cricket in the last couple of games. Starting off with their batters, apart from Shikhar, not too many contributed in the last 3-4 games now. Then the bowling attack, last couple of games have gone for plenty. 195 against KKR, I guess, and 200 here, 219 here. So yeah, I mean, things are kind of, I wouldn't say are falling apart, but they're loosening at the screws here now. So they need to tighten them, and the sooner they do it, the better it is, because the next two games are RCB and MI. Those two games are not going to be easy either. So they're making their life really tough for themselves.
Both teams will play RCB and MI, so that makes every game relevant to what will happen as far as the last four equation is concerned. But a quick one, Ian, on Rashid Khan. Now, this young man made his ODI debut in 2015. This is his fourth year in the IPL. In the era of video analysis, there's all kinds of footage available. You can have a camera follow him 24 hours. Why is Rashid Khan still a mystery for batsmen across the world?
Well, I think it's clear that similarly, when you had Sunil Narine at his prime, the pace at which he bowls, he manages to still get the ball to spin each way. His googly perhaps goes a little more appreciably than the leg break, just by a little bit. But I think it comes down to the pace at which he bowls. It'll still take a while to decipher what he's doing. Now, it will happen eventually. I think everyone gets decoded at some point to some level. But for now, pace, control, spin, brilliant.
Just a quick one once again on the net run rate scenario, and I'm really sorry to remind you of that time when you were a part of an IPL franchise. Tough days for you in that dugout. I struggle to believe that teams at this level, a team like Delhi Capitals, would not be aware of the NRR equation, especially given the kind of shot that Shreyas Iyer played. Would he not be aware that the win margin, the defeat margin, shouldn't be more than 74? Would a message not have been sent through?
I don't think so, because as players, and especially as batters, you would back yourself to win the game. So if they're starting to think about the net run rate, then you're still batting with a batsman there, and you have maybe another couple of all-rounders to come after you. I'm not too sure whether he was aware of that or was thinking about, we lose this game, but let's lose it by a smaller margin. I don't think so. But quickly on that Rashid again, I think what makes it that much more difficult in this format is, as a batsman also, you're rushed for time, right? It's not just about picking, it's also about playing a shot. So I think because of that also, because as a batsman you're rushed for time as well, it's very difficult at times, apart from all the guile that he has and he possesses, the ability that he possesses. I think from a batting perspective also, I think the lack of time kind of doesn't help the batsman's cause.
Ian, at what point during the chase would you have sent a message across from the dugout saying, all right, guys, let's look at the net run rate, get a reality check? I mean, there was a point at which they would have said, we can't win this game from this position. Would you, as a coach, have sent that message across? Look at the net run rate?
Yeah, but I don't think that would have come with Shreyas Iyer still batting at the crease with, I think, Rishabh Pant. I think that would be too early. Both of those would have still thought, certainly Shiasai would have thought it might be far-fetched, but we still got to go at it. So I think that would have come later down when you had Rabada or Ashwin or Tusha Deshpande there, but certainly not with Shreyas. Um, but I still think that I don't know why the wheels are coming off with Delhi. I didn't expect them to be losing 3 games on the bounce and by the magnitude that they've lost the last 2.
Right, big win it is for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Gentlemen, now let's look at a 5-point review. We'll cover all the broad contours of this win for Hyderabad or the loss for Delhi. The first one, Warner and Saha's aggressive approach, you reckon that's just the kind of positive injection this team needed at this stage? Ian, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, I mean, they play. The one thing we have to continue looking at is which teams are more desperate to win. You can tell that in the field, which teams are more desperate. And Warner's approach, certainly, I think Deep wanted him to go hard from very early. He talked about his stable base. Well, he went hard tonight, but he got a lot of assistance from Wriddhiman Saha. Wriddhiman Saha has to take a lot of credit coming in and playing the way that he did.
107 of 58 deliveries, that opening partnership between Saha and Warner. Now moving on to our next point, Deep. Delhi bowlers failed to adjust to conditions. We spoke about the length they bowled in the mid-innings. Also, we didn't see too many short deliveries bowled at the openers. Should they have gone for that option as well?
I think they bowled short, but they didn't bowl bouncers.
Sorry, yeah.
So I think they bowled. In fact, you can find. Fault them for bowling short, as far as I'm concerned, but not short enough. So yeah, I mean, listen, we've discussed this before as well. I mean, when you're under the pump, chances are you at times lose that calmness, that clarity of thought, and I think that's what happened here. Again, Bish would be the right person to talk about it, but I think that's what happened here as well. Under the pump, there was this lack of clarity, I guess.
Ian, what are the learnings for the Delhi bowling group from this massive loss?
They've got to hit their straps better. It's not just this game. It's Sunil Narayan and company that Nitish Rana that took to them in the previous game as well. So they're not holding their composure under pressure as much as they did earlier in the season. It means that you've got to be tougher. You've got to understand your bowling plans. And really Rabada knows that. Nokia knows that because they've played international cricket. They've been through tough situations. They need more contributions from Ashwin as well. Ashwin is too big a part with Akshay Patel of that bowling lineup to not at least be able to hold strain on the opposition. So I'm worried. I wouldn't say that it's time for them to panic, but the shift in the lack of play compared to what happened earlier this season is a little concerning.
Right, let's now move on to the Delhi batting chasing 220. All of us thought maybe Pant up the order, maybe Stoinis. That didn't happen. They went with Rahane and Dhawan. Did they miss a trick here, Deep? Was there an opportunity to maybe try something cavalier, maybe send Pant up the order? Should they have done that?
I think that's what they did. Apart from that opening pair, they went with Stoinis at 3, Hetmeyer at 4. Obviously, they wanted their boundary hitters to come early, set the game up or set the tone for that innings. But unfortunately, both those batsmen didn't fire. Stoinis and Hetmeyer. That's again another area of concern for them. Their batting has not fired in a while now. Apart from, again, Shikhar, last couple of games, he hasn't. But before that, 4 games from him was brilliant. But then they haven't. Stoinis, Hetmeyer, Rishabh, Shreyas, Prithvi before that. So now the issue is this. Earlier on, okay, you could understand, okay, the batting isn't firing and all right, Shikhar is doing his job. Then Shikhar stopped scoring runs. The other batsmen also stopped scoring. Now the bowlers are going for plenty. This is one of the best bowling units in the competition, along with MI. And them going for 190 plus in 2 back-to-back games, well, they really seriously need to sit and mull over this.
They were 54 for 2 Bish at the end of the power play, which is not bad. 9 and over. They seem to be on course, although they lost the 2 batsmen up front in the first 2 overs. Shikhar Dhawan and Marcus Stoinis. They lost. Could their approach have been any different after the power play? Immediately after the power play?
I don't know. To be honest, they just look shaky. Too many guys that we expected. Rishabh Pant, Marcus Stoinis, who was doing so well in the first half of the season with his batting. Shimron Hetmeyer isn't kicking on. He doesn't look out of form, but he isn't kicking on to get a significant score. You can talk about all the planning you want, but guys really just have to get stuck in and get in the runs. It's not inconceivable for them to pick themselves up again, but the batting certainly needs to fire.
Right, Bish. Now on to our next point. Rashid Khan, the best bowling figures this season: 4 overs, 7 runs, 3 wickets, 17 dot balls. He's a bit like a T20 mercenary, isn't he? He not just suffocates the opposition with dot balls, but stabs them with wickets pretty much every over. Is Rashid Khan the best kind of fixed deposit a team can dream of?
Well, he's certainly right up there. I can't think of too many better at this point in time. The leg spinner is of great value, and we've had 1 or 2 other guys around the league. We have Ravi Bishnoi, you have Murugan Ashwin, amongst others, who can ply their trade in Ranta here. But Rashid, and I take Deep's point, and that's why leg spinners work so well in this format, because batsmen have to continually go. But not too many of them have the impact of Rashid Khan, because, as I said, of that pace through there. So if he's not getting wickets for you, he can be accurate enough more often than not to be economical. So he's a real banker.
And it'll be a travesty, Deep, isn't it, if the Hyderabad Sunrisers cannot make it to the playoffs? Is he stuck in the wrong team?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think SRH, yes, they need a little bit of a reinforcement, next season, before next season, but they're still a good side. And listen, I think they're a good fit, both Rashid for SRH and SRH for Rashid. But you know what? The highlight of that spell was getting Ajinkya Rahane, a test batsman, out leg before wicket when he was defending. Right, Rashid, I can understand. The batsmen are trying to attack him, and getting out in that process. But when a batsman, that to a test batsman, trying to defend him and getting him out, I think that for me was a highlight of that spell.
And guess what, gentlemen? He is only 22 years old. So he's got a long time to break a lot of records, make many new records, which may seem unthinkable and unimaginable at this stage. But we'll move on to our 5th and final point. Delhi's call to field first after winning the toss. In hindsight, of course, it looks terrible. But were you okay with that call when he said, we're going to chase, Ian?
No, I have no problems. To be honest with you, we can always look back and think, look at how many games have been won chasing in the last 10 or 11 games. I think it was 8 out of 10, the last 10 matches, right? Yeah. The Rajasthan Mumbai game, Pollard decided to bat first and got Deep. You were there with me. 195 looked a significant score on that surface. That ended up being chased down. So to me, it's more important execution. And I want to end on this one. Everyone, T20 is about momentum. T20 is about momentum. I'm never, ever going to use that. Hardik Pandya smacked everything to all parts towards the end of Mumbai innings. Where was momentum? Because they lost. Delhi were cruising along. Mumbai were cruising along. All of a sudden, a roadblock has gone up and teams are losing. Momentum, please.
Yeah.
Momentum in T20 cricket is like a smile from a girl that you fancy. It may make you happy, but it may not count for much in the final analysis of life.
All right. Thanks, Manish. Thanks for that analogy.
Just saying, these conversations don't belong to a cricket show, but I couldn't stop myself from saying it. But Deep, let's end on a serious note, because clearly the producer may not be too happy me ending the show on this note. But Deep, 2 of the 4 playoff games will be played at this venue. Is there a learning for captains from what happened to Delhi today?
I don't think so. I think, obviously, listen, again, as Bish mentioned, execution, that's something. See, because you've got to analyze your losses and your wins as well. So where did you go wrong? Was the planning? Was it the execution? Again, toss and everything else. I think, listen, with the dew being playing a part now in the last few weeks here, Obviously, chasing makes things easier. But yeah, apart from that, I think you need to analyze as in what's going on. I mean, someone like DC, a team like DC needs to just sit and analyze what happened. I mean, why two back games, a bowling unit like that has gone for 190 plus. Batting, I mean, they are gun batsmen out there. If you look at that batting lineup, I mean, listen, they're all world class batsmen there, but still aren't contributing enough. So yeah, I mean, they need to find out a way to get out of this rut. But like Bish said, maybe he does not believe in momentum, but that feel good factor, let's call it the feel good factor. I mean, that's out of their camp as of now. So they need to change something there, because 3 losses on the bounce, and with 2 more to go and 2 top teams, they need to bounce back soon.
They've got to win one of the remaining 2. Yeah, go on.
That's what I call it, Deep. That's what I call it, confidence. That feel good factor, instead of using the word momentum, I call it confidence. You believe in yourself when you've had a good performance, but it doesn't promise anything.
Yes, they will be tested, the Delhi Capitals, on what goes on between the 2 years after this loss. 3 consecutive losses, much to think of, much to work on for Ricky Ponting and his side. And if you look at the points table, as I said earlier, because of the net run rate, they've slipped below RCB. They're now at number 3. KKR, Kings 11 Punjab, SRH will all believe they're in with a chance, and all the remaining league games will make sure this points table goes topsy-turvy. So interesting times ahead for us. But for now, thanks Deep Dasgupta and Ian Bishop for joining us on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout powered by Dell. We've got a lot of exciting cricket coming up, and we'll keep seeing you with previews and reviews right here on ESPN Cricket Info. Bye for now.